Alright, so the first thing that we are going to do is measure our paper into thirds. So this is 12 by 16. And so the 12 inches is easier than the 16 is going to be. So 12, we're going to divide that into thirds, and we're going to use our ruler and mark it with our pencil at 4 inches and 8 inches. And we're going to do that a couple places so that our ruler reaches it, or maybe you've got a long one that you only have to do 2 marks. 4 and 8. And then just lightly draw your line. Doesn't really have to go the whole page. It's mostly to give you an idea of where your thirds are, and I will show you how I'm going to use this in the composition of this painting. And then I have to get my calculator. 16 divided by 3, 5.33. So we're going to go on the ruler, on the 5 inches, we're going to go, so 5 1/4 is that first long mark. We're going to go to the next mark that is between the 1/4 and the 1/2. It'll be close enough. And I don't know about you, but I'm not interested. I don't know if I'm not interested. I'm not going to be exactly mathematical in the way that I work. It's just not what I do. And then so you'll make your first mark, and then from there do your next 5.33 mark, and then do it on the other side, and then we'll get our longitudinal lines as well. I just want to play more, and for me, math just takes too much time. Sorry. There are people out there who have amazing mathematical skills, and I can really see the technical benefit of that. And so if you've got them, use them. I'm just kind of interested. What I'm most interested in for this composition is the points here, because I'm going to use my reference photo, and I'm going to use these points to find where I want my starting point to be on my reference photo. And it also is going to be the primary focus of the composition. So in this one, with the girl with the rabbit ears, we're going to put her face in this corner of the paper, and then the ears are going to come up and out like that. And I will show you how I did that on the in the iPad editing tool. So I'm going to put it back. So this is our original reference photo, and it's from Museum, and which is the app formerly known as Sktchy. And the information on the photo should be in your reference materials. So I'm going to edit that, and I'm going to choose the crop function. And then that gives me the corners to drag and move. And so I generally like to fill my whole page with my portrait, so I'm going to start by cropping it so that it's completely full. And then I'm going to keep my finger on one of the corners, and I'm going to notice where the grid lines cross. And her nose is really close to this grid line in this corner of the picture, so I am going to drag her until her nose is right on that crosshairs. And what I like about that is it kind of puts her a little off center. This ear is starting to go barely off the page, and then this ear is over here. And, you know, we could make the ears as long or as short as we want. We could potentially make that ear fill all the way up to the top there, but it kind of gives her this off-centered space, and I don't know, there's something I like about the composition. Got a little bit of neck and shoulder there, and so just kind of, for me, what I have remaining here will just depend on how large my face ends up being when I draw. So that's how I get my reference photo, and I'm going to put it out there where I can see it. I tend to draw flat. Some, you know, if you draw on a drafting table or on an easel, that's great. Just sit where you're most comfortable. I have my cup of tea. The other reason I chose her, not only is the picture whimsical, she's got a little bit of an attitude on her face, which I am always looking for some sort of mood. Attitude, tough girl, that's a common go-to for me. Or sometimes it's sad or despair, and I'm not sure why, but my mood's not my mood personally, but what I'm drawn to draw vacillates between having this tough girl attitude and this really deep grief or despair. And I'm not sure why, but that's what I like to draw the most. So she's got a little bit, with her chin tilted up, she's got a little bit of a, yeah, I'm wearing bunny ears and don't mess with me attitude. So she's whimsical but tough, and so I kind of like that. So I'm going to start with her nose, and I will enlarge the photo so that I can see her features better as I'm working. And I like her face because she's got a lot of good shapes. You can really see this ball of her nose. And her lips. She's got really nice plump lips. I can see her eye socket here, which I tend to draw in. This one is, you can see it, but it's a little bit less. It's in shadow, but you can kind of see the shape of that. So I'm really looking for shapes. I'm also going to pay attention to this space that's right underneath her chin. It's her, oh, well, I don't know what you want to call it. As we get older, it starts to sag, that part. So where the chin and the neck connect. So drawing that piece in also gives some dimension to the tilt of her head. So working on those shapes. And I'm going to go for likeness, not realism. I don't draw realism. I draw in my style and just how I like to. So you'll know that it's her by looking at her, but it's not going to be, you know, exactly like her. And I'm going to get rid of a few of these marks. To me, all the pencil lines become part of the drawing from the first time I lay it down, but I am going to kind of break them up a little bit. I'm just dragging my eraser around and softening the lines, but I can still see them. All right, so her nose is right on this crosshairs here. And so I'm going to start by looking at that ball of her nose, and it's always looking for shape. So what's the shape of that nostril? Is one bigger than the other? Do you need to draw it in? Can you just scribble it? I also try not to draw everything round, so try to give it a little bit of a angularity. Is that a word? And you can kind of see her shadow, the shadow of her nose here. She's got a full upper lip, probably because her head is tilted. So I'm kind of shading in where some of the shadow is on her lip. Oh, she's got great lips. And I kind of do like some rounding of that, like the center of her lips. And then it's like paying attention to what lines up with what. So the peaks of each lip, each peak on the lip lines up below the nostrils. So it's kind of paying attention to that. I think we're seeing more of this side of her face than this side, and so wanting to notice that also, that which means that we're going to see less of her lip over here. And I have a feeling I'm going to run out of space for her shoulder, but that's all right. For me, it's not. This picture is more about the hat and the bunny ears. So kind of working up. You can also measure. So measure what's the distance, use your pencil, what's the distance from her nose, tip of her nose to her brows. And the tip of the nose, like the bottom of the nose, is kind of in the center of the chin. So that kind of gives you, and then do that on your paper. So if the bottom of the nose comes to the center of my chin, then the top of the brows should be about there. Let's see, let me do that again. There, there, there. Bottom of the nose, center of the chin, bottom of the nose. Okay, I was a little too high. This is when I use my Sktchy brush to get rid of that debris. Alright, so there's the brows. So that's going to tell me then her eye socket is about there. And this side's going to be a little bit different because we're seeing less, so I'll take one at a time. And know that the corner of the eye lines up with the nostril. So this is an example of where I don't do Don't draw that round like an almond. Do like angles. Make it turn. Make it turn with lines instead of a round line. Make it turn with angles, if that makes sense. Have you ever had to try to talk and paint at the same time? It's not very easy. And then also noticing like the white of her eye, how much white is in there. Her eyebrows up there. And sometimes I go back and kind of draw in the other pieces again, other parts of the face. So I don't get stuck always working on one side. Kind of gives a cohesiveness too. I also like to try to draw in the cheekbone a little bit. It helps me find the jawline, and the jawline is coming out from her lip here. She's got a little bit of a square face. And because it's a reference photo, you can alter it however you want. I'm gonna look for, I know this bunny hat is on her head. I'm gonna try to kind of block in where I think where it comes around her head there, and you can see a little bit of her neck underneath. All right. And then depending on, how you do the lips, if you have them turned down, she's going to look sad. If you have them turned up, she'll look happy, or, so kind of think about how do you want her expression? So then another thing we want to look at is the, I'm going to probably run out of space for the ears, but that's okay. Turn around. The forehead, like how high is her forehead and what can we compare that to? So the bottom of her nose to the top of the brow, so where my finger is, the bottom of the nose to the top of the brow is the same distance as the top of the brow to the top of the forehead. And so if I do that here, if I take my pencil and I measure the the bottom of the nose to the top of the brow and carry that up here, then my top of my forehead should be about there. I was pretty close. So I've got another eye. This eye is in shadow, which always makes it more difficult for me. So you can even take some pencil line and mark in where that shadow is on her nose. She's got shadow here. Make them the same direction. Also, I want my eyes to be about the same size. So I'm going to do some pencil line here, just to notice where the shadow is, and that whole side of her face is in shadow. So I'm going back and just kind of looking at, is there anything I want to adjust? So her hat comes quite a bit down here because we're not seeing all of her side of this side of the face. And I'm going to soften some of this up. All right, so again, just kind of going back and fixing things a little bit. The reason I like the Sktchy brush is the graphite smears if you take your hand and rub it. The other thing I want to encourage you to do is take a break. Take breaks and look at where are you at. Is there anything, get away from it for a while, because we get too close to it and we can't see what are the areas that need fixing. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but there's construction going on at my house outside, and there's a little bit of sawing and drilling. Alright, so I think that I am pretty satisfied with her face. And so the next thing that we're going to do is come back and add in her ears.